All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. And we've got some minicamp news. The Seattle Seahawks had their first day of their mandatory minicamp yesterday, and we learned some stuff. We learned a pretty good amount. I won't say any of it by itself is earth-shattering, but when you're in mid-June, where we are now, and there isn't necessarily a lot going on, and you're just looking for something to hold your interest, something to carry you through until you actually get to some games, it's pretty nice. So we're going to talk about what has been passed along about day one of minicamp. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And basically, we're just going to spin through various topics that were brought up by the various beat reporters who were there. Corbin was there. I think Curtis Crabtree was there. Greg Bell. I think you saw a little bit of Nemhauser. There's a little bit of Brady Henderson in here. Anybody who has information to pass along will take a look at it. So this is kind of a roundup of the things that we learned from yesterday. All right, so nice day, by the way. It was a pretty nice day over at the VMAC. It was not a nice day where I live, by the way, so that's kind of cool for them. Not so cool for me. But I think the main highlight yesterday was Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet, he's not playing football yet, obviously. He's not doing stuff with the team yet in terms of actually like running with the football, but we are starting to see him take the field, do some stretching. There was some I guess you could call it casual side shuffling, I guess is probably what you would call it. So there was some on-field stuff happening with Charbonnet yesterday, and that's a very good sign. That's a very good indicator. He's a long way away from getting to play football. And I'm not going to pretend that there's an equivalency between playing football and casually going from side to side like he does in this video clip, which a lot of you guys have probably already seen. But let me sorry about that, guys. Just to give you an idea of the speed he's moving at, it's pretty casual, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's a big one for him. And Corbin even calls this out. He is ahead of schedule in his rehab. It has been about 4 months since Charbonnet got hurt. It's been a little bit less, and typically, players don't start doing this kind of stuff until you sorry about the, sound, by the way, that keeps kicking in. You get to about the 4.5 to 5-month range, so that's a really good sign that he'll be back soon, and Corbin also offered a little bit of inside info from his mother, of all people, a family physician, who believes that Charbonnet is on track to be ready by early October. Now, I don't know how reliable that source may be. We are talking about a beat reporter's mother who has a sports medicine background, which is, better than what I have, certainly, but it's something, and it's probably about the best we're going to get. And if Charbonnet is back by early October, then he doesn't really miss much of anything. He misses 4, maybe 5 games, maybe at most 6. That's actually pretty manageable. That's not really that big of an obstacle for this team now, because I went through most of this offseason assuming that Charbonnet was going to miss at least 8 games, probably more like 10. And obviously things can still change, but if it ends up being early October, then I'm feeling very good about that. So great news on Charbonnet. Seems like he's ahead of schedule. Seems like he's ready to make an impact earlier than I thought. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. So moving on from the Charbonnet thing, we also had some other injury updates. Another positive one here with Anthony Bradford. Anthony Bradford was practicing yesterday, so whatever the knee injury was, it was obviously enough to keep him out for about a day and a half during OTAs. But now that we're here in minicamp, he is good to go. So good news there. He's got his hands full this offseason potentially with Stevens. At the very least, he has competition for that right guard spot. And he's going to need all the opportunities he can get to maintain his lead in the right guard rankings for this team. Other injury things from Curtis Crabtree here. He lists out the DNPs. Keep in mind that some of the DNPs here did do some work. He's just talking about guys that didn't meaningfully participate with the whole team. So Charbonnet, who we already talked about a bunch, but Kenny McIntosh, not surprising. He's still rehabbing. Torrey Horton, again, he seems like he's ahead of schedule, but it's not surprising that he's not all the way back yet. AJ Barner, more on him in a second. Elijah Arroyo, again, I talked about this. I talked about this a couple of days ago. It seems like the tight end room is really beat up here. And the good news, I guess, is that it looks like Eric Saubert's not listed here. So it seems like Saubert was doing stuff, but our top two tight ends, both still out. Josh Jones still out. Part of the reason why we may have signed Bobby Hart. Devin Eastern, he's one of the rookies, so he needs to get out there. So hopefully it's minor. And Marvin Jones Jr., another, I believe that's a rookie. I know there was a Marvin Jones Jr. in the NFL for a long time for I think the Lions mostly, but I'm pretty sure we don't have that guy. So I'm pretty sure this is a rookie as well. So some good indicators here, I guess, in the fact that Eric Saubert's not on this list anymore. But you can see that there are still some guys working through stuff, which makes sense. We were playing in the Super Bowl not that long ago. I mean, we were playing the most recent meaningful football game in the NFL. So we're taking a little bit longer to get all the way back up than some other teams maybe, and it's not surprising. All right, so that's most of the injury stuff. We did get AJ Barner doing some running with a trainer on the side. So he is moving. You can see him that he is actually like, it's a little bit more lively than anything you saw with Charbonnet. Like, I'll play it real quick. Like, this doesn't look too bad, right? You take a look at that clip, even for just a few seconds. It doesn't seem like he's terribly far away from being able to play some football. So I'm not getting any sense that he's going to miss time this year or even miss important offseason work. So I think we're good with the AJ Barner stuff. Recovery on schedule, like Greg Bell says. So great news. And what else do we have here? Yeah, that's basically all the injury stuff. One thing that Greg Bell pointed out here was that Witherspoon is very active. He's participating all over the secondary. And that's a little bit interesting because earlier in the offseason, it seemed like Witherspoon wasn't doing as much as some of the other players. Some people thought maybe it was because, well, we don't need him to. Some people thought maybe it's kind of a protection thing because he doesn't have the contract yet. Still doesn't have the new contract, but he's more active now. So maybe it was just a preservation thing. But that's worth noting here. And also with a guy like a Leonard Williams seemingly happy to be here. These guys may want new contracts, but they're not letting it drag them down. They're not letting it disrupt things. So everybody seems pretty happy. So that's great news. JSN also made a little bit of a short appearance at the minicamp. Obviously not a player that we're really worried about at all because he was so good last year. We got nothing to be concerned about, but still good to see him. One thing that happened that was kind of fun that a couple people called out was Jason Myers hit a 62-yard field goal, which would be a career long for him, I believe. I think his career long is a 61 now. It was windy, and that was one thing that happened here where I live as well. Very, very windy yesterday, so take it with a grain of salt. But if Jason Myers starts hitting 60-yarders, if he can start hitting from 60, and he combines that with what he did last year in terms of volume, then you've got an elite kicker then. You've got a kicker that can give you pretty much everything, and the ability to hit those super long field goals, like the 60-yarders, is the one thing that Myers doesn't have compared to some of these newfangled young kickers we have in the league. For those of you who care about things like this, JSN did say that the NFL sent him a new award for the Offensive Player of the Year thing because the trophy had a typo on it. So if that's something that you're invested in, and I will admit that it was pretty kind of absurd that the NFL allowed that to happen, it has been made right. So everything's cool. He is, I mean, he's the Offensive Player of the Year, whether or not he actually gets an award with the proper spelling, but regardless, he did get that taken care of. And the thing I kind of want to close on here, or get close to the end on here, is Nick Emmanwori, because there was a lot said about him by multiple people who were present for the minicamp, namely Corbin, but a couple others as well. Corbin had this little clip here of him working with the pass rushers, apparently doing a lot of work with DeMarcus Lawrence. So DeMarcus Lawrence and Nick Emmanwori do not play the same position, at least not on the surface. But there was a lot of talk about how those two guys are working together, and Emmanwori's trying to learn stuff from DeMarcus Lawrence, and then you see this drill, him working with the pass rushers. This is where this is going. Like, this is where Nick Emmanwori is going, and like, you can make whatever jokes you want to make. As Nemhauser points out here, Nick Emmanwori is the same size as Tank Lawrence. And Corbin mentions this here as well. He looks like he's a little bit bigger this offseason, might be about 235. So he is about the very close to the same size as an edge. Maybe not a Mike McDonald edge. There are edges out there that I think are about 235. So yeah, this is part of that next level for Nick Emmanwori, the ability to truly play everywhere in a defense and not be deficient in any over-the-top way. Like, there have been players that play multiple positions before the way Nick Emmanwori does, but very few of them had the size of a Nick Emmanwori. Like, Nick Emmanwori is every bit as big as a modern NFL inside linebacker. He's a little bit smaller than a typical NFL edge, but not by that much. He's smaller than our edges, but even then, it's like comparable. He can play corner, he can play slot corner, he can play safety. He does all these things, and you're starting to see that get unlocked. And Ernest Jones talked about this a little bit in his post-practice little press conference here. Nick Emmanwori taking the next step in the mental aspect of the game. He called it the classroom, learning how to diagnose plays before they happen. And Nick Emmanwori spoke to the media after practice yesterday as well, and he talked about this too, talking about how he played the first couple months of his season last year, not really understanding what the play was going to be, not really understanding how to read a play pre-snap, not really understanding how to read route combinations. And as the year went on, that kind of started coming to him, and he was able to benefit from that. But now he's talking about taking it to the next level, where he will become a player that can really read the opposing offense and combine that with his gifted physical attributes to become truly one of the best players in the league. And I think he can get there. I think he can get there. They don't make him like this. And to hear him take this so seriously, and I want to specify something here. You hear a lot of stuff pre-draft. You do. But if you go back to pre-draft before the 2025 draft, one thing that people were a little bit concerned about with Nick Emmanwori is how much he really liked football and how motivated he would be as good as he could be. It sure seems like he is. And maybe the initial theorizing that he wasn't a big football guy, like kind of like the Reek Woolen thing where Woolen doesn't seem that passionate about football. Maybe that was just false. Maybe something was changed between now and then. But based on what I'm seeing here, like him working with pass rushers, edge rushers of all people, like Lawrence, and seeing him talk about his development as a player and trying to improve mentally it does feel like we're gonna get the best version of Nicky Emmanwori, and that's terrifying to know that what we got last year, which was fantastic, was not even close to his final form. And we kind of suspected that anyway. I mean, a 21-year-old is never gonna be the best version of themselves in football, but it's still it's something that will only happen if the player shows they really care. And yeah, so Big Cat DeMarcus Lawrence, Corbin also got a clip of these two guys. I know I mentioned it earlier, but the Big Cat thing, him continuing to go through all the work and do the normal stuff despite not having the new contract. I know that it was it was Dan Viennes who said that um Williams would probably get extended between now and the start of the season. But part of me does wonder if maybe he's content. Maybe he's just like, this is going to be my last year, and I don't feel the need to go through the song and dance of getting an extension that I don't plan on honoring. And maybe the team knows that and they're planning for that. Who knows? I hope not, because I think Big Cat can be good for a few more years. But if that is the case, then I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be better that he be open and honest about that than him getting an extension and then just playing out 1 year of it and retiring. So if that's the way it's going to go, then I'd rather it go that way than the extension way. But enough about that. That's really about it. That's really about all I got to talk about. Cool stuff. Mostly good news. I mean, most of the stuff you get out of minicamp's going to be good news, but they're going to have another session today. We'll see what happens, but let me know what you guys think. Go Hawks. And I'll see you guys probably tomorrow, maybe later today. We could get a contract extension later today. It's not impossible, so stay tuned and go Hawks.